One of the most critical parts of the mobility cycle is recovery. After the hit, the player must immediately recover their position for the next shot. The first aspect of recovery is circular mobility. In terms of movement, the rule is, it is easier to keep moving than to start moving. To accomplish this, wheelchair players employ a concept called circular mobility. Players use their mobility skills, pushing, turning, etc., to constantly make circles to maintain momentum, as having numerous stops and starts is ineffective movement. Since keeping moving is the priority, a wheelchair player will recover by heading towards the back fence. This is called reverse mobility. Whereas a stand-up player will never turn their back on an opponent, for a wheelchair player, it is preferred. When recovering with reverse mobility, the player should keep their eyes on the opponent. The recovery after the hit is critical to keep up circular mobility. When making the recovery turn, the preference is to make a natural turn. This is one that is in harmony with the momentum produced by the chair movement and the racket swing. For example, the turn that would be the most natural after hitting a wide forehand would be an in-turn. Notice how the chair movement and racket swing naturally takes the player into the turn. On the backhand, the natural turn would be an out-turn. This is the one that is in harmony with the natural momentum. Watch as the player tries to fight momentum to return this shot. Watch as the player now uses natural turns to keep momentum, even if it means letting the ball bounce twice. The next aspect of recovery is the recovery triangle. When working on the player's location, a marker can be used to designate the recovery position. This position, often called the hub, is what the player is attempting to recover to. Just like with stand-up tennis, this location changes based on where the player hits. To picture this concept, imagine a triangle with the opponent at the tip. The player should position themselves in between the two corners of the base of what we will call the recovery triangle. For example, if a right-hander hits cross-court, their recovery is to the right of center. If they hit down the line, the recovery is to the left. The recovery triangle also lengthens or shortens based on the shot. If the player hits a defensive or weaker ball, they must retreat and recover further back to gain time. After a strong shot or when attacking, the recovery triangle will shorten as the player gains court position. In this case, rather than a natural turn, the player can counteract momentum and perform a counter turn. When serving, wheelchair players will often start further from the baseline to make recovery quicker, and not have to use reverse mobility if the opponent returns deep. The distance of the recovery is approximately a chair width behind the baseline. The last aspect of recovery is recovery timing. In regards to timing of recovery, the key is to be at the recovery position or hub when the opponent strikes the ball. Make sure to include drills and recovery practice that trains the timing of recovery, and not only the movement and location.